Good morning, friends and fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the Morning Market Prep video for January 4th, 2024. Well, I had originally said that I probably wouldn't be doing a video today, but I've decided I have just enough time before I jump on an airplane to go to Vegas for just a couple of days to celebrate my 39th anniversary. So, what happened overnight? Well, let's take a look. We had Asian markets last night down across the board overnight, feeling a little bit of pressure just as a result of the selling I think we had all the way around the world yesterday, as we kind of realized the Fed really isn't in the mood just yet to talk about rate cuts, even though the market itself has priced in 6 rate cuts next year, which may put us on a kind of a trajectory here of a little bit of disappointment if the Fed doesn't come around to that same conclusion here soon. Now, if we take a look at European markets, however, European markets are bullish across the board this morning, even though they were pretty decidedly bearish yesterday, trying to move just slightly higher here this morning. And our pre-market futures are also pushing higher this morning with the idea of a little bit of relief or bounce back after yesterday's selling. We've got, interestingly enough, we've got oil continuing to move higher. Yesterday, oil reversed and went sharply higher, and we have oil this morning also up. Brent is at 78.85 a barrel this morning. Natural gas is also higher. If we take a look at our bonds here this morning, bond yields are moving up again this morning, which is also interesting to see that we're staying so bullish with the bond yields moving a bit higher. 2-year bond is at 4.34, the 10-year 3.96, our 30-year has crept up to 4.11, and what that means is our dollar is trying to move higher here this morning, and we have TLT, even though it gapped down yesterday on TLT and had a nice rebound, seeing just a little bit of selling coming in here on TLT first thing here this morning. So we'll want to watch this carefully and want to just be a little bit careful in this market with the uncertainty that we see, and we'll talk about that in just a second. So what does all this mean for today? Well, how about we settle in? Let's buckle up. Let's get ready for the Thursday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Good morning once again, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. I do very much appreciate it. Thank you for all the kind support to the channel. It means the world to me, so much so that I got up early this morning before I get on an airplane. So to get these videos out is really important to me. I really do truly like to help. So let's take a look at some of these charts and see if we can gain some information about how we might want to approach the market for today. Let's try to shake off a little bit of bias and just see what the price action of the charts are telling us. Well, first off, we've had a very successful period of time. Even though the market's been pulling back, boy, they have been working hard to keep the Dow from moving lower. And as you can see, they've done a pretty good job of it. We have the diamonds holding in here around a support level and trying to pop back up here this morning. So we might be finding a little bit of price support in here, and there's every reason to believe at this point in time that if those bulls can find some inspiration here today in some of the data that we've got coming our way, then maybe we can attack this high up here in the chart, and we're not that far away here in the diamonds of recovering and pushing back up. Now, albeit it'll be a a substantial point move to make that occur, but we certainly could see that happen and maybe re-attack this resistance level in the chart. And if we can pop through, remember there's blue sky above here on the diamonds. Now, if we were to get disappointed today, and there might be that possibility that we could whipsaw this morning, we could get this bullish gap up, kind of get people jumping to the long side here and then reverse. And if that were the case, coming back in to test this price support is where I'd be looking for. And if that were to fail, then I'm going to suggest the next layer lower would be coming back down into this range and possibly even testing that warning shot that we had right here, testing that area. And that would be a big point move and be a little bit painful if those bears found that energy to break back down into that area, because we really might come all the way back down into the breakout area of the diamonds. Remember, we're extremely extended in our moving averages. We are way stretched away here in the market, so you can't rule out that possibility that that pullback could occur at any time here in the diamonds. Now, we have a very different picture when we look at the SPY and the QQQ. The SPY has made that pullback, and if you'll notice yesterday, I had suggested we might come back and test the low of that candle. We did that and we broke it temporarily, and now we're trying to bounce off of that area of price support. Notice we're down here on the trend. We gave up this little price support yesterday in that move. So a very different circumstance here in the diamonds. If we see that bullish pushback here today, let's watch that push up into these areas of price resistance in the chart and see if we can break back through. Remember, any rally back now that runs into price resistance, we're going to want to question carefully that move, because we could rally up there, hit that resistance and pull back, and you'll notice what I just put in there is a bit of a head and shoulders topping type pattern. So remember, the bounce back up, we have to watch that very, very carefully here in the chart. You will want to notice that breaking this trend, if we do find more bearish action in here today, if the bears are inspired, there really isn't a whole lot of support in here. Notice we've just went straight up in this area of the chart. So the same thing could be true if we were to fail in this area. We could move down pretty substantially really quick down into one of these levels, and it may not happen this week, but we do want to be watching for that possibility here in the chart. And once again, we're still very, very extended away from our moving averages. If we were to take a look at our QQQ, now QQQ has had the roughest move here this week. The Magnificent Seven seems to have fallen just slightly out of favor, at least for the time being. And you can see breaking down, breaking the trend in the chart. And now any rally back here in the chart, if the bulls find that inspiration, then we've got to start worrying about these resistance areas here in the chart. And once again, that possibility of that lower high on any rally back. But there's every reason to believe that we could push on higher and retest some of these resistance levels in the chart if we can find some bullish inspiration today. Now, on the other hand, if we were to get some bearish inspiration today and continue to push down, it really wouldn't be a surprise either if we come on down and test this area of price support in the chart. And that's a good price support in here. We've got plenty of price data in here, so a test of that wouldn't be out of the question. And then we get a little bit of relief to the upside. We do want to remember that we are in that wait and see period here heading into our first quarter earnings. And even if we do come down here and test, it really doesn't mean we're going to fall out of bed. What it could mean is this could just be the first wave of more of a consolidating move where we break down, we rally back, and then we end up resting for a period of time, waiting for the next round of earnings to see if we can support these prices that we've pushed these stocks to. So watch that carefully. Now, if we were to take a look at our IWM also has pulled back relatively strongly. It was I think, probably the most parabolic in this move. It was really trying to do a catch up here in the chart, and I suggested yesterday if it broke this trend right in here, then watch out. We could have a quick move that could drop us right into that little gap, and well, that's kind of what happened. If you take a look right there, we fell through that support, and boy, we came really close to filling that gap yesterday, and I think there's still a chance we might yet, maybe even today. But if those bulls have some inspiration here today and can push us back up through there, then I wouldn't be surprised if that would occur, and then start watching some of these resistance levels in the chart for that potential of that lower high. And remember, if we do produce something like that, well, that is nothing more than a little head and shoulders topping pattern, and it really wouldn't be bearish at all if we came back and we tested this longer term trend. Nothing wrong with that if that were to occur. As a matter of fact, that still is in a bullish trend, and it's a more sustainable trend than the straight up move that we've been seeing in the market. So a little bit of rest, or even a little bit of consolidation. We could maybe match something like this over here, just kind of consolidate as we wait for the next round of earnings. Let's take a look at our VIX. Our VIX had a little bit of fear coming in yesterday. So here again, we have that lower high, or excuse me, that higher low coming here in the market. We did hold that downtrend break and pushed on higher, and then we have kind of slipped through that resistance there in the chart. So a little bit of concern starting to come up here in the market. We might be not as confident that we can continue this push to the upside as maybe the market has been trying to show us, particularly in the diamonds. So watch that carefully. If the bears were to find inspiration today, there certainly would be that possibility that we could move into some of these higher areas and test some of these additional resistance levels above. But if we get a little bit of relief to this selling here in the NASDAQ, maybe we will pull this back, rest a little bit, come back down, test some support levels in here in the chart. Remember, that is our trend. So if we were to rest, consolidate in here, come back to trend, wouldn't be all that big a surprise. Let's take a look at our T2122. Our T2122 relieved pressure pretty substantially yesterday, which is nice. So we haven't seen this for a while here in the market. In fact, we haven't been down in this range since over here in November. We have just been relentlessly bullish and very, very euphoric almost about what we believe is going to happen with rates. So finally relieving some of that overbought pressure here in the market. Now, if the bulls find inspiration today, we have certainly opened a pretty substantial upside opportunity if we can get that energy going to the upside. If the bears find inspiration, there certainly is every reason to believe that we could kind of complete this move back to the downside to test some of that short-term oversold area for that bounce back up. So just kind of watch that carefully. It kind of depends on how these data points come out today, how much excitement there will be, and how many opportunities that there may be for some volatility here in the market. Now, if we move on from here and we go and check out our T2108, the percentage of stocks above the 40-day moving average, you can see we relieve some of that pressure here as well. I think you'd have to say at this point, no matter what trend you are following here, that trend broke here in T2108. And remember, this is a very elevated area here in the chart. Now, I doubt we move straight back down in a straight line. We rarely do, but you can see we've got some price support levels in here that we can catch on. So no reason to panic in here. I think the real concern will happen if the market rallies back up and makes a lower high. Just like I talked about there in the VIX, it's the higher low on the VIX where that fear starts to really come in and starts to confirm. It would be some kind of a lower high in the market that can't complete and get back up there to new highs. That would be the major concern for the market. And then we might start seeing some levels down in here tested in our T2108. If we can press right on through and push right back to the top, just kind of keep in mind it's unlikely that we can stay up here long. T2107, percentage of stocks above the 200-day, also pulling back, and I think we can officially say at this point we've broken that trend here just ever so slightly, coming back into a little bit of support area of the chart. Once again, doesn't necessarily mean we move down in a straight line. That's not likely. Well, even if we consolidate and rest, this will pull back a little bit. So consider that, and remember, if the bulls can turn around and push right back up here today, well, just keep in mind it's unlikely that we can remain up here for very long. If we do push back higher, we just need that little bit of resting pullback or consolidation in the market to allow some of those moving averages just to catch up. And then if we take a look at our T2101, well, a little bit of bad news here for the bulls. Just the selling wave yesterday, we did see a little bit of a breadth increase on that bearish side, but it wasn't substantial. So and boy, the bears have been really lazy lately, not having much energy. So I wouldn't rule out the possibility that the bulls will come back in and fight really hard. They're not going to give up easily, and why would they? So if you watch here closely, if we were to see this continue to extend on a bearish wave, that's going to be a little bit of a problem for those bulls. Now, if the bulls come back here today and we actually see this breadth shrink, that's going to be a problem for the bulls as well, because that will embolden those bears a little bit more if we don't have enough bullish energy to show that breadth increase. And one of the reasons why that might be a problem is, remember, on the blackout period, corporate buybacks are being shut down here and largely shut down already, just simply because they're required to as they head into earnings. So you'll want to watch carefully for that. If we see that on a bullish wave today, if we see that breadth fading, that may not be good news overall. So watch carefully if that were to occur. And let's take a look at some stocks. Oh wait, we better take a look at our economic and earnings calendar. Our economic calendar today, we've got some nice data that could move us around quite a bit. First, we've got the Challenger job cut report. We've got motor vehicle sales in here, so watch for that. We're going to have an ADP number. ADP is suggesting that we have about 115,000 jobs created, so that's another bump back higher in those private payrolls. That could serve as a little bit of a bearish a move for the market, so we'll want to watch that carefully. Remember, that's not what the Fed wants to see. The Fed wants to see those jobs numbers declining, loosening of that jobs market. Continuing claims are suggesting maybe a few less continuing claims. And remember, I've been talking about this idea that we might suddenly start to see this move higher on those continuing claims as our economy is showing us those signs of slowing down. In our manufacturing numbers have been very weak. Our trade numbers have been very weak. We're seeing manufacturing declines in China, manufacturing declines in Europe as the consumer slows down. So we'll want to watch that one, because usually when things slow down, people start losing jobs. So watch that carefully. It could start creeping up here soon. May not be just yet. We've got a PMI composite. They're expecting that to come in right around stall speed here on the total composite at about 51, so just above 50 on that. Keep an eye on that on the overall market. And then we've got natural gas and petroleum status. I think petroleum status could be interesting today. Watch that one closely. That could also be helpful or provide a little bit of bearish energy to the market as well, depending on how we react to that number. Remember, we've got a couple of bond auctions in here and the Fed balance sheet. And then while I'm gone, guys, just make a reminder, once we get through this, everyone's going to be thinking about this employment situation number coming in on Friday. Watch that one closely. That one certainly could be market moving here on Friday, and so you might actually see, after we get through the volatility of the morning, maybe a little bit of resting and consolidating as we kind of figure out or wait for that number here on Friday morning. And then also remember, we've got factory orders, ISM services numbers, and we're going to have Barkin out there speaking again, so watch that one close. Let's take a look at our earnings calendar for today. The good news is we have a bit more that could provide some inspiration here on the earnings calendar. I'm going to run through these really quickly. We've got ConAgra reporting today. LW will be reporting today. LNN, RDUS, RPM, and SMPL on the list. And last but not least, we've got WBA, Walgreens, will be reporting today. So keep an eye on those. Those could provide a little bit more inspiration to the market, either bullishly or bearishly, as we kind of slowly start to move into the next earnings season. Remember, we've got the big wait for the giant banks to start reporting. Let's take a look at some stocks that could be setting up for today. But before we do that, guys, if you could do me that quick favor, if you find these videos to be useful or helpful, if you can make sure and click that subscribe button, make sure and click that bell icon when it pops up so you'll be notified every time I post a video. And again, clicking that thumbs up button showing appreciation for the video is, well, very much appreciated by me, and leaving that brief comment shows that engagement with the video, and it helps YouTube show this video to more folks, and we grow the membership that way. So thank you so much for everyone who does take the time to do that. I very much appreciate it. Let's take a look at a few stocks that could be setting up. Remember, these are not recommendations to buy or sell any security. Make sure you do your own due diligence. Be very, very careful here in the market, and try not to overly anticipate as to what's going to happen, because we could see some volatility still as we wait for that next round of earnings. First off, let's take a look at a little bit of some of these old boring companies like 3M. 3M, nice little resting pullback coming into a little bit of a support area here of the chart. You can see we broke through that resistance. Going to be treating it as support. We broke through this big downtrend in here. If the bulls can hold up in here and hold this support, I would look for that next opportunity to the upside. Once again, if it can hold. Taking a look at some of the others out there, a lot of these had a little bit of a pullback yesterday, some of those defensive sector stocks, but boy, Campbell Soup, big strong move on Tuesday, and a little bit of a pullback on Wednesday. I would watch this carefully in here. Any kind of a rest or consolidation may set up that opportunity here in CPB. There are quite a few out there in this area looking strong. Now Colgate finally catching a pullback here. Watch this carefully. If we can pull back to a price support in the chart, hold in there, that would provide us that next opportunity. So we're seeing a lot of those defensive sector stocks showing us those good signs. Now Walmart popped through some resistance here, had a little selling pullback yesterday, but you'll notice we're still in this trend on the chart. So watch that carefully. If we can hold right through this area, look for that next opportunity if those bulls can stay inspired, pushing on through to the upside. KHC pushing through some resistance, a little resting pullback. Looks like an opportunity that we could go higher. You could look at stocks like Coca-Cola, nice little resting consolidation in here after a strong move back up. We're testing some resistance, but watch that carefully. Could set up that next upside opportunity with a higher low. We've also got stocks like PepsiCo showing those signs of bullishness here in the market. So a little rest or pullback. Look for that next opportunity to the upside. I'd keep an eye on, talk about a boring company, Verizon. Verizon making this nice move popping out, and Verizon even caught an upgrade yesterday. So we pushed on through and we're showing some bullishness here. Remember, Verizon is a good strong dividend payer too if you want to just buy the stock and hold a little bit of a longer term trend. But any rest consolidation back here to this trend I think would be the next opportunity for entry, just like we did here. We popped up strongly, boom, rest, come back to the trend. Rest, come back to the trend. You look for the next opportunity to the upside. Keep an eye on Verizon. AT&T also showing lots of bullishness here, pushing on up. So another big strong dividend payer showing lots of bullishness here, breaking through some resistance in the chart. Any rest or pullback would set up the next opportunity in that trade. So let's take a look at a couple other places in the market. First off, Tesla had a pretty strong breakdown here in the market, breaking through some areas of support. So what I would be doing in Tesla here, any rally back that fails underneath this price resistance here in the chart, rally back up, look for the failure, then I would start looking for the potential short side move after breaking trend and breaking support in Tesla. I'm going to say the same about some of these big tech giants, and I know no one wants to hear that, but if we take a look at Apple, I think any rally back now sets up an opportunity for a short. And even if you don't want to do a directional short, maybe bear call credit spreads or something, any kind of rally back into here, I would be watching for that next opportunity for that downside move to come into the market. Now, NVIDIA might be just a little bit different. NVIDIA has been holding up better than some of the others in here, but I will have to always put up the question. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attempts to get through that area. We haven't really broken this down, and you'll notice that we did break this trend. We broke a little bit of price support in here, but overall we're trying to hang just right in this area. There's a little bit of support right there. So I think there's still some question here whether NVIDIA is going to move onto the downside or if it could pop back up. But once again, I would suggest any rally back up here to this resistance, I would be watching closely. If it can't break through, how many times are we going to bang our head against that resistance before the bears say, okay, that's enough, and we start pushing down? So watch that carefully. If we cannot make a new high here, there may be some danger coming in some of these big tech stocks. Let's take a look at a couple other places. Take a look at American Tower. American Tower looking very strong here, holding in its nice little consolidation. Look for that next opportunity for this to pop on through to the upside. I think that's worth keeping an eye on. Honeywell had a pretty strong pullback yesterday. It's been moving in a strong upside trend, but if it can catch some support in here in this area, rest a little bit, there may be still some upside opportunity with a little bit of rest in that chart. MDT is another stock, Medtronic. They have a lot of work in AI here, and it's really lagged behind other companies that utilize AI. MDT, little resting pattern out here, back into trend. I would watch this at any time for that opportunity that could push on through to the upside. And last but not least this morning, I was looking here at JCI for that rest across here, and this is one of the reasons I'm showing this is so that you can see anticipating the trade can be really bad for your results. By placing a price alert in the chart and waiting for the trade to complete the pattern and then pop, show me those bulls are following through, I get to miss out on trades like this. I don't I don't chase them. I don't anticipate them. I wait for the trade to prove itself and then follow through with the move. So this now breaking down, that's a little bit of a problem in that chart. If this comes back and makes a lower high in that chart, that's going to be an issue here. And that possibility does exist now at this point after breaking trend and support. The only way this becomes bullish again is if it crosses back up, it holds a higher low, and then we can resume the uptrend. So keep an eye on stocks like that that are starting breaking those patterns. Starbucks is a pretty good example of that. When we fail and when we rally back up, we look for that lower high for those resistance levels, and you can see every single one of those sets up that next opportunity short. So with that, everyone, I want to wish you all a fantastic day. Wish you great results in your trading. Thank you so much for listening and being here this morning. I'll get this video out, and then I am going to jump on an airplane. So y'all take care, be safe, and I'll see you right back here Monday morning. Wish you all the best, everyone.